What's up guys, welcome back to Hayward's Jewellery's YouTube channel. Hope you're all having an awesome day and thank you so much for stopping by. Now this is basically a reaction or response to a video I watched over the weekend by a YouTuber in the jewellery sector who's got a pretty decent following. And he was working through the pricing of gemstone rings, and he was working through this stack of rings, and basically as he was working through it, the way he was, and he wasn't particularly confident in the way he was doing it, was pretty reminiscent of what I've come across in the jewellery trade, and that is the majority of jewellers don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to coloured gemstones. And this is because it's a specialism. But some of the things he got wrong that really stood out to me was a couple of mispronunciations and also some kind of misinformation that he actually gave as well. Now he was saying that all of these rings were suitable for engagement rings, and it included the peridot and tanzanite, which are two stones that are not suitable for an engagement ring. If you want to check out what are good gemstones, I'll leave a link in the card to my video with the best and worst gemstones that you can choose for an engagement ring. But basically this is bad information, because that stone's not going to last as an engagement ring because it just can't stand up to the wear and tear that an engagement ring goes through. Another thing was, he said there was one, I think it was alexandrite he pronounced it as, whereas the actual correct term is alexandrite. Then he said it's a synthetic stone. But from what I could see and what I'm used to seeing, it was actually a synthetic colour change sapphire, which is sometimes sold as alexandrine within the trade, not alexandrite. And it's this kind of not really knowing the difference between these stones that you could actually see when he was working through it. He wasn't confident in what he was saying. He wasn't confident saying this is this and this is treated in this way. He didn't feel confident until he got to the black diamond, which was his kind of safety area, because he does know a fair bit about diamonds. And this is something that you see quite a lot through the trade, because it's actually pretty easy to learn about diamonds because there's a massive amount of information out there. Quick plug, I am currently working on an introduction to diamonds online course, so if you're interested in checking that out, let me know in the comments below, and when it's all up and running I will let you know so you can go and check it out for yourself. It's going to be a great introduction point to learning about diamonds, so little plug for myself there. But back to the video, and this is generally a lot of like jewelers' safety area. They know about diamonds, and also majority of diamonds that are sold these days come with lab reports, which basically tell them what the color is, the clarity, the cut and everything. They don't actually have to look at the stone and figure that out for themselves, because it's all just basically printed for them. You don't really get that with colored stones. Yes, you can get lab reports with them, but all they basically tell you is what it is, whether it's been treated, the size of the stone, and in some cases you'll get an origin report as well. It doesn't give you the amount of information that a diamond report does, because the grading criteria is completely different. There's no kind of fixed kind of 4 C's for coloured gemstones. You have to take each gemstone on its own individual merits and assess it that way. And this is where, when you're buying a piece of gemstone jewellery, if you're like starting to ask questions about it and the person who's selling it to you is being like hesitant or is not sure of the answer of these questions, there's a good chance they don't know much about coloured gemstones. And really, if you're buying a coloured gemstone and you want the best advice, you want to go to somewhere that's got a gemologist on staff, because people like myself, I'm a fully qualified gemologist, we spent a lot of time, a lot of money and a lot of effort to learn how to identify gemstones and learn basically all the intricacies of the most popular gemstones. Now there's people out there who know much more than me when it comes to gemstones, but when it comes to commercial stones, I made sure I learned what I needed to learn, and I'm constantly learning and adapting my knowledge so I know what I'm talking about. And the reason I actually become a gemologist was because I was actually selling gemstone jewellery online and people were asking me questions and I couldn't answer those questions. So I went and built my knowledge up, but not everybody's going to do that. On the flip side is when you're selling a piece of jewellery, because if you've got a coloured gemstone in a ring or a pendant or whatever, when you're taking it in somewhere, you want to take it to somewhere where there's a person on staff who's going to be able to basically identify and then give a value around that stone. Majority of places won't. They will completely disregard any gemstone that's not a diamond. Even things like rubies, sapphires and emeralds, they'll completely disregard, because basically they don't know how to identify that stone, and then they don't know how to value it either. So if you have got a piece of jewellery that's worth quite a lot of money and you do want to get a good valuation for it, make sure you take to somewhere who's got a specialist gem person on staff, so a gemologist, someone from the GMA or the GIA. And when you're in there, don't be afraid to ask to see what their credentials are, or ask for them to prove what their credentials are. Because trust me, as a gemologist, we are more than happy to say, oh yeah, this is what I do, this is what I'm qualified as. Generally, we will shout it from the rooftops because we're very proud of our qualifications. Also, when it comes to being able to identify them, there's no real equipment out there. Yes, gemologists have a set of equipment that we can use, but not one piece of equipment will tell you what that stone is. Whereas when you've got diamonds, it's much easier to be able to identify the stone because there's things like diamond testers and moissanite testers that will do all the work for you. You don't have to have the knowledge to know what the difference between a diamond and a CZ is, because there's a tool that will do that for you. That's not applicable when it comes to coloured gemstones. There's no tool out there, even though some claim there is a tool. There's no one single tool out there that will tell you this is this and that is that. It just doesn't happen. It takes time, experience and knowledge to be able to know how to differentiate between different gemstones. So that's just a bit of advice. If you're going to be going out buying coloured stones, or you've got a piece of jewellery to sell, make sure you go somewhere where there's people on staff who know exactly what they're talking about, because they're going to be able to give you a much better experience to be able to answer any of your questions when it comes to that gemstone. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, really appreciate it if you could smash that like button, because it really does help me and the channel out. Also, if you want to see more jewelry related content, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. So thank you once again so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Stay awesome, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.